Act 2, Scene 3 of Macbeth. We shall also do it in parts. Part 1 begins from here. Porter, here's a knocking indeed. If a man were porter of Hellgate, he should have old turning the key. So if a man was a gatekeeper of the hell, and if this is hell, then he should have been tired opening the gate such a number of times. So often. Because being knocked at intervals. Knock, knock, knock. Who's there? In the name of Beelzebub, here's a farmer that hanged himself on the expectation of plenty. Come in time. Have napkins enough about you. Here you'll sweat for it. So, whenever there is a knock, there's a knock within. That means off stage we can hear a sound of a knocking. And on stage there is the porter who keeps on commenting. That's why Act 2 Scene 3 is also known as the porter scene. So when the knocking comes, the first person. Now in order you should remember who comes when and why. In the name of the devil, Beelzebub, just let me know who you are. So here comes in the farmer. The farmer comes in because he has hanged himself on the expectation of plenty. So here the farmer had committed suicide. He was greedy, he wanted to sell his grains at a higher price, at a much higher price, and he had hoarded the grains in time and such that it would rise in price, and when the price is much high as per to his expectation, he would sell it off at that time. But hoarding is again something illegal, something unethical that shouldn't be done. And there are other explanations also, that here the farmer expected a particular amount of harvest, and since that was not fulfilled, his expectation was not fulfilled, though things were going pretty well, but he couldn't earn enough, so he had committed suicide because of his greed being unfulfilled. And therefore the porter says, come in, have napkins enough. Have enough of handkerchiefs, because here it's so hot in heaven, so you'll be punished so much that you'll be needing handkerchiefs here, and you will be sweating a lot. So get ready for sweating out. For what you have intentionally done, you will be punished. Now next, the second one. Knock, knock, who's there in the other devil's name? Faith, here's an equivocator that could swear in both the scales against either scale, who committed treason enough for God's sake, yet could not equivocate to heaven. Oh, come in, equivocator. So, equivocator is a person who uses religious terms for deceiving other people. So, he has double standards, and this is also an allusion. This is a reference to Henry Garnet, who was the accused in the gunpowder treason. So Jesuit Father Garnet tried to save his life with his scheming plots and very clever arguments, but at last was executed in 1606 for his involvement in the gunpowder plot. So this is the equivocator is directly a reference to that person, Henry Garnet. And so the porter says that, you have been an equivocator, you're so good with words, you're such a good schemer, and you could equivocate to, and you couldn't equivocate to heaven, you couldn't deceive God, you couldn't win God with your words. So an equivocator is a schemer, a person who schemes and plots. He's very good with his words and he supports just his own purpose. So he's a double-faced con man who lies under oath, and he can lie on anything just to support his own needs and arguments and tries to convince everybody. So he is on nobody's side, but still would present himself as to be your supporter, your well-wisher, and then he would deceive you. So he's going to hell for perjury. He's a con man. So you can directly say he's a con man. The second person who entered here is an equivocator, and the moment he says Beelzebub in the other devil's name, Faith, you'll again see Faith in the next line also, that Faith, here's an English tailor. So it's nothing but trust me this one. Or it's just an interjection, it's just an expression, it doesn't have any meaning. It can also be interpreted as maybe. So who we can probably knock? Why is there so much of knocking? Is it this person? Is it this one? Or maybe it's a tailor. Maybe it's an equivocator. So that way. Now the third knocking. Knock, knock, knock. Who's there? Faith, here's an English tailor. Come hither for stealing out of a French hose. Come in, tailor. Here you may roast your goose. So the third person who is entering the hell is probably an English tailor, and he is coming here for stealing out from the amount of cloth that the customers have provided, and therefore he is being punished and sent to hell. So he liked to skimp on the fabric for people's clothes. He would steal. He would not give them enough as much they had themselves provided, even though he would not need it, but he wouldn't return it. Instead of returning it, he would keep it for himself and do some kind of small petty theft in that way. But now, when the French hose was in fashion, when the tight pants were in fashion, he couldn't get enough cloth to steal. Still, he would steal any amount of cloth from there. Then these pants, these were already so skinny, and if a person takes away from here also, then there will be nothing left. So it couldn't be made, and therefore he was punished for keeping on stealing and stealing all through his life. And therefore the porter says, come in, here it is so hot that you don't need to roast your goose. So that means the iron, the specific kind of iron that the tailors used is referred to as goose. And he says that you had a special oven or a special stove for heating your iron, so you would, and then you would stitch the clothes. But here the whole hell is itself so hot that anywhere you can roast your goose, anywhere your iron will automatically get heated. So come, you're most welcome. Knock, knock, never at quiet. What are you? Why is there so much of knocking? But this place is too cold for hell. I will devil porter it no further. So I was pretending as if I am the devil porter, so I am the porter at the hell gate, but now I cannot continue with it anymore. It's pretty too cold, and there is pretty much enough knocking that I can't stay lazy sitting here. I have to open the gate now. So all these porters and the servants, the attendants and guards of Duncan, everybody was intoxicated, and therefore therefore this drunk porter was just having a kind of hallucination, or he was in his dreams, in his half waking dreams, and therefore he was pretending as if and imagining himself to be the gate man of hell. And therefore he says that now I cannot continue, it's too cold, that means I'm not in hell, so no more with these pretensions. But I wanted to put in all one specimen of each profession into hell for their own profession. How do they steal? How do they prove guilty in their own profession and they are not being loyal to it? So I wanted to punish each one of them in a different way. But because of all these things, all these knockings, so let me open it now. And it was just as simple as that, in a one line to sum up, that all of these people had given in to temptation. They had surrendered themselves to their temptations. So they had done their, and they have proven themselves guilty, and now that's why their they are entering the everlasting, eternal bonfire, that is the fire of hell. Anon, I pray you, remember the porter. Anon. So, wait. I'm coming immediately. Just remember to tip me as the porter. For opening the gate, just remember to tip me when you get in. So, I'm coming. Enter Macduff and Lennox. Macduff, was it so late, friend, ere you went to bed, that you do lie so late? So was it late enough when you had slept that you when you went to bed? So before you went to bed, was it so late that you just couldn't open the gate before? We had been knocking for so much, for so long. Porter, faith, sir, we were carousing till the second cock, and drink, sir, is a great provoker of three things. So, faith, sir, trust me that we were really carousing. Carousing means celebrating. We were celebrating, there was drinking till the second cock. Until the second time the cock crowed, which is about 3 a.m. almost. And drink, sir, is a great provoker of three things. So, and drink really is the provoker, is the one that brings in temptation, which you can't resist. And then it would result in three things. What three things does drink especially provoke? Macduff asked. So, what are the three things that you are speaking about, Porter? Now, the Porter. Marry, sir. Nose painting, sleep, and urine. Lechery, sir. It provokes and unprovokes. It provokes the desire, but it takes away the performance. Therefore, much drink may be said to be an equivocator with lechery. So, first of all, the porter makes fun and he mocks and says that yes, three things. It is nose painting, that your nose would turn red and it would hinder and it would make you sleep. And the third is irresistible urge to urinate quite a number of times. Now, lechery, sir. Now he comes to the main point that what it actually does is lechery, sir. So, it increases the lust in a person. It provokes and unprovokes. It provokes the desire, but it takes away the performance. And therefore, much drinking, excessive drinking is nothing but an equivocation with lechery. So, it is just a con artist who plays with the sense of lechery, with the sense of having an urge for some kind of relationship, but then it fades out. So while at one moment you would have an excessive urge and at the next moment you won't. So these lines are actually not much relevant. And then it makes him and it mars him. So it arouses the desire and again it destroys it because it takes away the energy from you. Because you are unconscious. You're not conscious minded when you are under intoxication. It sets him on and it takes him off. It persuades him and disheartens him. It makes him stand to and not stand to. In conclusion, equivocates him in a sleep and giving him the lie that leaves him. So, in short, it makes you dream of so many things, of lustful dreams, and at the end, it incites in you, it instigates in you the urge, the excessive desire for some kind of lustful experience. But then you are not in a position to perform, to act, to be in a deed, and therefore again it puts you down. So it equivocates you in sleep, and then ultimately what you do, you are left to sleep and nothing else. Macduff. So it is just nonsense that the porter keeps on repeating, reiterating things in very many different lines, all out of the only reason that he is intoxicated. He is not in his senses. Macduff, I believe drink gave thee the lie last night. So drink has made you understand so much of things. So you are still in the effect of your drinks. So Porter, that it did, sir, in the very throat on me, but I requited him for his lie, and I think being too strong for him, though he took up my legs sometime, yet I made a shift to cast him. So it is nothing that he is saying that yes, I had been fighting. I had been a fight with the mm, the effect of drink that it had on me. So I was too strong, and intoxication couldn't probably act upon me as it would have on any other weakling, and I managed to come out of it. And it was a duel. It was a duel between me and the effect of intoxication, and therefore I was the winner among the two. These are just basic. Linux, good morrow, noble sir. Macbeth, good morrow, both. Macduff, is the king stirring? Worthy Thane? Macbeth, not yet. Macduff, he did command me to call timely on him. I've almost slipped the hour. So King Duncan had requested me to come and awaken him, and I have missed the appointed time when he had asked me to come. So it's already late. Macbeth, I'll bring you to him. So let me take you to him. Macduff, I know this is a joyful trouble to you, but yet 'tis one. So again, this is a paradox that we have come across, that it is a joyful trouble. So joy cannot be troublesome and trouble cannot be joyful. But here he's saying that entertaining a guest, and that too a guest of such high stature, is really must have been truly quite a trouble to you, and yet it is one. Yet it is the one which will obviously give you so much of a pleasure. So you're just a general, and the king coming and residing for one day, staying in your home for one day. So that is too much of an honor. Macbeth, the labor we delight in physics pain. This is the door. So he says, not really much of a trouble, and this kind of a trouble that we have, so we are delighted to entertain this kind of trouble. And then he shows him the door of Duncan's chamber. So when we enjoy our work, when we enjoy the task, it makes us ignore the pain that is associated with the effort. So they had enjoyed it. Now Macduff, I'll make so bold to call, for 'tis my limited service. So he says, I'll wake him up now, and because it is my duty to wake him up, otherwise I would have allowed him to rest more. Linux, so exit Macduff. Then Linux, goes the king hence today. So does the king leave today? Macbeth, he did appoint so. Yes, he told us so that he would leave today. Linux, the night has been unruly. Where we lay, our chimneys were blown down, and, as they say, lamentings heard in the air, strange screams of death, and prophesying with accents terrible of dire combustion, and confused events new hatched to the woeful time. The obscure bird clamoured the livelong night. Some say the earth was feverous and did shake. So Linux again is acquainting the audience for the imminent news that will be brought by Macduff, because he has already entered Duncan's chamber. So he says the night was wild, it was unruly. And then he goes on to say that where we were sleeping had blown down the chimneys. So all the fire, all the comfort was removed. So it was pretty cold. It turned pretty cold. And people are saying that they were lamenting, strange screams of death, and prophesying were heard. And what were they professing? Strange voices, strange cries, lamenting strange cries, and strange screams of death were heard. Some kind of a new awful time which was yet to begin. So by the word dreadful time, Linux actually refers to the war with Norway, which was going to take place, and very soon. And obscure bird is the owl here, which is again an omen of death, which is a negative symbol. And clamored the livelong night. So it had clamored, it had kept on hooting all night. It is an omen of destruction. So, and some say the earth was feverous and did shake. Some say that there was like kind of tremors, and the earth was also shaking. Macbeth, it was a rough night. Yes, I also believe it was a rough night. Linux, me young remembrance cannot parallel a fellow to it. He says I am pretty young, and therefore might be that I can't remember anything which was similar to this night, or similar to the things that happened the previous night. Macduff. Oh, horror, horror, horror! Tongue nor heart cannot conceive nor name thee. So the tongue nor the heart is ready to experience what I am going to disclose. I cannot even name what I have seen inside. So nobody could ever imagine, conceive, imagine the heart, nor the tongue. That this is what I have to utter today. Macbeth and Lennox, what's the matter? Macduff, confusion now hath made his masterpiece. Most sacrilegious murder hath broke ope the Lord's anointed temple, and stole thence the life of the building. The worst imaginable thing has happened. A murderer has broken into God's temple and stolen the very life out of it. So confusion, destruction has reached its limit, has crossed its limit. Destruction has broken into the anointed temple, that is the holy body of the king, and has taken the life out of it. The king's dead body, which had been anointed with the holy oil at the time of his coronation, to signify that he was God's deputy on earth. So God's associate or God's deputy on earth, and therefore the person who was in charge of taking care of everybody. So here the God is murdered in his own temple. So he is murdered in his own state, and the life of the building. So he is the life, he was the very soul, and he has been murdered. Macbeth, what is it you say? The life means, how is it possible? The life means Duncan. How is it that Duncan is murdered? Lennox, mean you his majesty? Macduff, approach the chamber and destroy your sight with a new gorgon. Do not bid me speak. See, and then speak yourselves. And exeunt Macbeth and Lennox. So he says that approach the chamber, go, get into the chamber and see for yourself. Destroy your sight with a new gorgon. So, and here gorgon is, in Greek mythology, the gorgon Medusa is a monster with snakes on her head. So instead of hair, she has snakes on top of her head. And the person, whoever looked into her eyes, would turn into stone. So such is the Duncan's murdered body lying in front, that anybody would turn to stone, would turn speechless by the horror they would freeze in wonder, in shame. I'm lacking in words, so you go. I'm speechless, so you go and experience it yourself. So we shall do it up to here, and in the next part we shall do the rest.